Oh, MAGA, you're in trouble. Apparently there's a shortage of workers on the farm. But don't worry, MAGA. Brooke Collins, who heads agriculture, says that she has a solution. Seems like Trump and Brooke Collins have put their heads together and come up with a solution to solve the problem on the farms losing workers. Let's watch the video and see what Brooke Collins has to say to solve this issue.
Score enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Did you hear that, MAGA? They're saying if you're able-bodied and on Medicaid, you are going to work in the fields. MAGA, this is where it hits you. You're going to work in the fields. And you're going to see what it's like for these undocumented immigrants to come to America and work a hard day's labor in the American fields. Get ready to pack up Mima and Pop-Pop and put them on a bus and send them to the fields, MAGA. That's what you voted for, and that's what you deserve.
This morning, I want to speak up directly to my Republican lawmakers in Texas. I know that many of you have troubled hearts right now. I know it. And I want to tell you that you have more support than you know if you would step out and do the right thing. I've been a lifelong Republican, but I can't support this party anymore. I cannot. But if you will stand up and do what's right, you will see that there are so many that want you to do that. Let me give you an example. My tiny little, very, very red county of Hunt County, Texas, at the No Kings Day protest that I helped organize, we had somewhere between 300 and 400 people there protesting at No Kings. There was an anti-protest across the street, and there were less than 24 people there. The number of people who want you to stand up to this is way bigger than you think that it is. But beyond that, I know that many of you know what's right in your soul. You're afraid to do it because of the consequences. You don't need to be afraid. Number one, even if no one supported you, you know what the right thing to do is. But you have very many, me included, that would applaud if you would stand up against the things that your party is doing that you know is wrong. I didn't leave the Republican Party. The Republican Party left me. But you have a chance to make a difference. Be true to what you know is right.
Florida beaches are empty because racism don't pay the bills. Now those beaches and businesses are empty in Florida, and the business owners are scratching their head. They're like, I don't understand what's happening and why this is going on. This is what happens when you build your entire platform on bigotry and fear. When you spend years attacking immigrants, the very people who visit your state, spend money in your hotels, eat at your restaurants, buy your tacky ass beach towels. Don't act shocked when they stop showing up. And understand, it's not just tourists who aren't coming to Florida. When you squeeze the working class like a lemon, there is no juice left for joy. You think people got beach money right now? People can't even afford to go outside. And all those Trump tariffs, those weren't on corporations. Those were Trump taxes on us. Prices went up, jobs got cut, and now folks are choosing between groceries and gas, not plane tickets to Clearwater. And y'all made Florida a hostile environment, honestly. And not just for immigrants, but also for black people, LGBTQ, teachers, hell, even librarians. Y'all made the beach a battleground. So now it's just you and those overpriced souvenir stands collecting dust. And now conservative business owners are mad. But they're mad at the consequences of the policies that they voted for. Baby, this ain't karma. This is cause and effect. Conservative policies destroy communities, period. So ask yourself, how long are you guys going to continue to vote against your own business?
Hello and what's up, good people? What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing great and welcome back to the channel for another video. Now, I want us to talk about how MAGA supporters and many Republicans have come to the realizations that they actually voted out of hate, out of selfishness, out of fear. And what they didn't know is at the end of it all, they were voting against their very own interest. And now they have just realized, and they are coming out to speak about it, to urge the government to, revise and recheck the policies, the decisions they have taken. And they are actually even begging for help from black people who don't even, don't care, because they did what they could do. And they voted against this regime, and they tried to tell everybody that this was against the interest of America. But nobody listened, because when people are selfish in so much a way that they are ready to sacrifice themselves, then this is exactly what they do, and this is exactly what they face. So let's watch these videos I have compiled for you, and we'll be back. So see you on the other side.
Okay, listen up. We just learned of the first rural hospital shutting down as a direct result of Donald Trump and Republicans' bill. Check it out. And the headline tells the whole story. Rural Southwest Nebraska clinic closes, blaming expected Medicaid cuts. This article was published yesterday, by the way, before the bill had even passed. It's short. It just says a clinic in Southwest Nebraska announced that it's closing due to financial challenges, including anticipated Medicaid cuts. It's shutting down its clinic in Curtis, a town of about 900 people. The Curtis Medical Center has been in operation for more than 30 years, but Republicans, they just killed it like that. Their CEO said, unfortunately, the current financial environment driven by anticipated federal budget cuts to Medicaid has made it impossible for us to continue operating all of our services, many of which have faced significant financial challenges for years. The Nebraska Hospital Association, like all hospital associations, have been pushing back against Medicaid cuts in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, but you know what? Those rich people just really needed their tax cuts, guys. And now, as we predicted, rural hospitals are going to pay, and they're going to pay big, and you know what? So will you and I. Of course, it's not just rural hospitals. Millions of Americans will now become uninsured, and the bill has, in general, put our nation on a new, more perilous fiscal path. Great, that's what you all voted for, right? You voted for jobs reports like these, interest rates like these, the US dollar plummeting. Just to recap, this bill is already shutting rural hospitals down. Poorest Americans are going to be dealt the biggest blow. Our economy is tanking and will tank more, and yet some of you voted for Trump because of the economy. Hope you enjoy reaping what you sow. As for the rest of us, well, pray for us, because Donald Trump and the Republican Party have just thrown this nation under a bus, the likes of which we have never seen.
Farms in deep red Texas are shut down, and Donald Trump is the reason. Now, as you know, Donald Trump has shifted ICE from focusing on criminal immigrants to going after easier targets such as job sites to pump his numbers up. But farms are hurting because of this, as many of their workers are either being deported or not showing up for fear of being caught up in these raids. And because of this, they're essentially shut down and no work can be done. Just take a listen to one farmer.
3 weeks it started to slow, but this last week or so has been huge. That's when it's like zero people wanting to come out. And
yeah, zero people going to work the farms. And while yes, these farmers are in the find out phase, we're all going to be in it, because they're talking that our food supply is going to be shut down or have major interruptions. And it's not just Texas, it's California and Washington. We are finding out that yes, immigrants do help the American economy. Immigrants are part of the American fabric. We just didn't realize it till it was too late.
These three Trump supporters are finding out the hard way. Joe Rogan is now saying that he feels betrayed by Donald Trump's harsh immigration enforcement policies. It's like betrayed. Putting your trust in Donald Trump is like putting your trust in an alcoholic to be the Secretary of Defense. Oh wait. Joe Rogan's upset because the Trump administration isn't even deporting criminals anymore, but non-violent citizens. And if such a smart guy like Joe Rogan couldn't have figured out that this was Donald Trump's plan all along, we all couldn't have. Nah, I'm just playing. Everyone that's not brainwashed could have saw this coming from a mile away. And then the Make the Rich Richer bill was passed, which means 99% of Republicans are officially cooked. And with $1 trillion being cut from Medicaid, states like Kentucky will be significantly affected. 35 rural hospitals in Kentucky are at risk of closing down, and with 1/3 of Kentucky residents on Medicaid, they're going to have to put on their bootstraps and get to work. I mean, just think of yourselves as lucky. You could have had Kamala Harris as president and still had Medicaid. I guess all we can do now is just pray that Donald Trump brings Medicaid back. Yeah, we'll be waiting. Lastly, Vance Bolter, the guy who horrifically gunned down Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota, is complaining about his treatment in jail. He says he hasn't even been able to sleep for weeks. Dang, Vance. That must be pretty darn tough. Hopefully you can't sleep for the rest of your life. The funniest part is a longtime friend of Vance's said that he seems kind of down lately and that he's not as upbeat as he usually is. I wonder why. Vance's lawyer says he only has a mat and a pillow and that the lights are on all day and night. True horror. It's like, what did Vance expect? It's jail. It's not supposed to be fun.
I don't care. I don't fucking care. All these videos on this app about how in 3 weeks the grocery stores are going to be empty, good. Fucking let that fucking play out. Okay? Take some precautions, but let that shit play out. Farmers on this app boo-hooing because they're losing their farms, fuck all the way off. What did you think was going to happen? Joe Biden bailed you out, then you turned around and voted for Trump. So yeah, I'm glad that all your government grants and bailouts and farmer welfare got taken away from you. And I hope to God a Democrat buys your land and it's profitable. Truckers. Oh my God, the amount of truckers on my algorithm right now boo-hooing that they don't have any loads, which by the way, at first is kind of funny. But what? 90% of you voted for this. What the fuck did you think was going to happen when he tariffed the whole world and there was going to be no product to move around the country? Hello? Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm scared to death of the fucking shitstorm that we are all about to fucking walk through. And the longevity of those empty shelves fucking keeps me up at night. But the only thing that keeps me going is that any day
I asked ChatGPT to give me a list of the top 10 most hardcore DJT states. And this is the list that it gave me: Wyoming, West Virginia, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Idaho, Arkansas, Alabama, Kentucky, South Dakota, and Tennessee. And I specifically asked for this list because I just want to make sure that I can sleep at night knowing we're all on the exact same page. Until I know that you know how severely impacted these top 10 states are going to be with the policies that are in this big, beautiful bill. This big, beautiful bill is about to blow up rural America. I know I'm speaking to you right now when I say that you know somebody who is on social services of some sort, whether that's a single mom, whether that's an elderly person, whether that's somebody with a disability, or that's somebody who has a diabetic foot ulcer. I know the patient populations in rural communities that I have spent my entire medical career learning from rural physicians in a rural place, okay? And what is happening in the fine print, in the language y'all don't usually speak, because who does? Are things that are going to destroy the livelihoods of so many hundreds of thousands of people in your communities, wreck your economies, rip away resources, rip away opportunities, and leave you in the dust. Even if you're somebody who lives in one of these places that is able to afford life and your family and you don't rely on any government services at all, I want you to consider what would happen if you couldn't utilize those services for your mom, your dad. I want you to imagine what would happen if all of a sudden your child had a crazy accident and you needed a ridiculous amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of durable medical equipment. 29% of the population in West Virginia is on Medicaid. Wyoming, 43,000 people. You got to consider the population of the state as a whole too, okay? So these are large percentages of the populations. Oklahoma, how many people in Oklahoma? Hold on. 25% of the population is enrolled in Medicaid. Medicaid, that's not the senior citizens. Those aren't even the elderly people. Those are the young people, the kids, the young adults, the moms. In Oklahoma, the average income per capita is $58,500. The median household income is $59,700. In this bill, it states that anybody making under, I think it's $50,000, will be seeing an increase in taxes. I'm sure anybody making less than $50,000, no matter what state you live in right now, is having a really hard time. Are you not? So now the plan is not only to increase the taxes that you're paying on the minimal income that you do make, but also remove your access to government services like Medicaid. Why? Because you're an able-bodied young person. You should be able to handle it. Sorry. Oh, we don't believe in college here. It brainwashes you. So we're capping our population's ability to continue to climb those ladders of socioeconomic status by being able to obtain high-paying jobs that provide you with insurance benefits. Those things aren't available if you're working trade jobs. And there's nothing wrong with working trade jobs. That's why we're fine paying y'all's Medicaid. But when you take that away, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Do you know how much it costs to buy diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and pain medicine without Medicaid? It's not just the people of color that are benefiting from these services, and that's what you're not understanding. If you take the population at large, yes, there are a high percentage of people in places like California that are relying on these services, and maybe you don't think that you owe that to them. But if you don't think you owe it to your own community, then you need to look in the mirror. The comments are open to respectful people, but I am a big fan of the block button. All to benefit the person who built his entire campaign by exploiting the very things that y'all care about the most based on your religious beliefs and your morals and your values, being hardworking, pull up your bootstraps, go on, get them, wipe your tears away people. He did that on purpose, and it is so sick.
I don't know if it's just me or what, but I was so excited for Trump to get back into office. For what? For what? I mean, prices are still bad. They're rising. Hell, everybody's struggling. I mean, wasn't you supposed to help us? Wasn't you supposed to? But he's not worried about us because, I mean, he's balling. He's rich. He ain't worried about it.
These prices are way too expensive. Everything is going up every single day. Yeah, tariffs. Yeah, they're supposed to make the country great and bring all this money in, but who pays the tariff costs, guys? American citizens pay the tariff costs. It's not these other countries. It's not the companies. They're just passing the cost and the burden down onto the consumer.
And here's another cold hard fact. Beginning with the New Deal, continuing through to the Great Society, and ending just recently with the President's infrastructure bill, the Democrats in both rural and urban America have fought to provide a social safety net that's much needed in rural America while offering targeted incentives to help rural America grow. And our question is, when are conservatives in rural America going to join us in the fight? Hi guys, my name's Will, your favorite rural campaign and elections expert, and let's talk about it. Here are some hard facts we have to come to terms with in rural America. Nearly 75% of the poor living in rural America come from southern Republican states. Both poverty and our dependence on the social safety net is higher in rural America than it is in our cities and suburbs. In every section of America,
these rural towns, mostly in red states, are really about to be in the find out. First, let me tell you what the Trump administration did with this big, beautiful bill that they think is pretty slick. You see, most of these things with Medicaid cuts aren't going to go into effect until 3.5 years down the line. When is that? When Donald Trump is no longer president. You see, he doesn't want to be able to take credit. He doesn't want anyone to blame him for hospitals closing and people losing their Medicaid. So he delayed everything until he's out of office. And so what he gets to do with this is he gets to say that, oh, all of the things that are happening to these hospitals and with Medicaid and everything, that's all Joe Biden's fault, because my stuff doesn't kick in for 3 years. Then when it were to kick in, if it is to kick in, it's going to get worse. So for the most part, the next president, probably a Democrat, is going to have to come in and overturn all the things that he did just so people don't lose their Medicaid and a lot of these hospitals don't close up. But unfortunately, many of these hospitals are anticipating what's to come, and they're already planning that they're going to have to close up in the next 3 to 7 years. But you have JD Vance out there, of course, blaming Joe Biden for everything that's going on right now during the Trump administration, and out here saying that they put in provisions and they put in fail-safes so that rural hospitals won't have to close. Meanwhile, rural hospitals are planning on closing. So let's listen to JD Vance with this bullshit talking about they're saving rural hospitals when we know that's not the truth. First of all, let me point out, did you notice when he was saying all the bullshit, all the stuff none of these people have ever heard of? He got no applause at all. So then he decided to go to the Trump card. He went to the card, the ace of spades, which is the racism. He's like, nobody's cheering when I'm talking about healthcare and Medicaid and rural hospitals. You know what? Illegal aliens need to get the hell out of here. We want them out of here. We're getting the Mexican people out of here. And then all of a sudden the racists are like, yeah, because they know that. They understand the racism. That's the part they love the most about Donald Trump. You see, policy means nothing to them. They don't care that their gas prices and grocery prices are still going up. They don't care about that. They care that, one, they think they're owning the libs, and two, the racism. They like the fact that JD Vance and Donald Trump are as racist as they are. And let me point something else out. He's talking about all the problems during the Biden administration. You know what? If you Google rural hospital closures during Biden's administration, you don't find a bunch of articles about that. But during the Trump administration, you find a bunch of articles about rural hospitals that are anticipating having to close, and it is because of the cuts to Medicaid in the big beautiful bill. That is the only reason. That's the only reason they cite when they talk about their rural hospitals closing. Don't believe me? Here's a video of a news station talking about a hospital closing in their area because of all the cuts to Medicaid. The fact that this administration is trying to claim that this isn't happening when we could easily access the information that proves it's happening right now is fucking crazy. But this is how dumb they know the MAGAs are. And if that's not enough for you, here's another article about 9 rural hospitals in Illinois that are also at risk of being closed, along with a video that talks about how the big beautiful bill is cutting millions of people off of their Medicaid.
As a person that's had MAGA family their whole life, even before it was called MAGA, I can tell you that they have always been able to dish it, but never been able to take it. Not ever. These people are so fucking mean, okay? And they always have been. My father is from deep rural Southeast Missouri. I still live in Missouri, but I live in Kansas City today, a stunning oasis compared to the rest of Missouri. But my dad left home when he was 18 to go to college, literally for the reason of wanting to make a better life for himself, because he grew up in a tiny, deep red, incredibly racist, incredibly sexist town with a single mother. So like, he had a lot of this knowledge that life wasn't going too well for them, you know? And his mom tried really hard. She wasn't perfect, but she did her best, but their circumstances were not the best, and he knew he needed to go get an education and go do something else. So he got a football scholarship for his first year, and then he worked to cover the other years. And I think he also got other financial help from other places, but he busted his ass to leave this town, to go to college, to make a better life for now me and my sibling. Like, literally, he knew from that very young age that he wanted kids, that he wanted a family, that he just wanted a better life for himself. You know what my family, still back in Southeast Missouri, still calls him to this day? A traitor. They call him a family traitor for leaving Southeast Missouri, for leaving them behind, and they call him elitist because he wanted to go live in the city. He wanted a better life because, you know, we settled in Kansas City, which is a decent sized city. It's not huge, but it's, you know, we've got tall buildings. There's a lot of stuff to do around here. And literally this started from the moment he went to college. They started saying this the moment he left, and he is now 50 years old. And they still say this to him whenever he shows up. And earlier this year, well, actually, I guess it was late last year when Trump won the election, they just fucking started spamming him texts about Trump. And my father was dark woke before dark woke was a thing, because he is on the left, but he will be mean about it, okay? He will spout left-wing talking points in your face with the vigor of a Fox News conservative talk show host. He's not super nice about it all the time, but like, they started it and they're also not nice about it, so like, who gives a fuck, right? But literally last year Missouri was putting abortion on the ballot. They're putting it on the ballot again next year. Love living in a fascist state that doesn't give a fuck what their citizens want. But it was on the ballot last year. And so my dad, being the good person that he is, was trying to get them to vote in favor of, you know, allowing abortion to be legal in this state. And they literally were like, no, baby killer, blah, blah, blah. Here's some lore about my father. His mom had an abortion before she had him, okay? And they were pulling out that fact, and they were saying like, your mom's a baby killer, your mom, you know, his mom's dead now, by the way. Yeah, she's dead. She can't defend herself. But they just said these things to him just out of the kindness of their own hearts. And I just fucking hate when MAGA acts as if they're all like, oh, we just want to be left alone. We just stop shoving all your stuff in my face. Like, if you would just let us live, we wouldn't bother you. It's like, that's not true. Because you've been bothering and shitting all over my father and us too. Like, by association, like they don't like me or my sibling or my mom really either. We're all city elitists, even though we literally live in a mid-sized Midwest city. It's not fucking New York over here. It's not even Chicago. And they've been so fucking mean to us our whole lives, our whole lives. And I hate it when conservatives get on this app and act like they're the victims. It's like, no, you're fucking not. I know you've been this way to people your whole life. You've always been assholes. My father literally cut ties with a lot of his family this year because they kept just fucking antagonizing him about Trump and texting him about Trump and telling him how they like that the libs get upset when they talk about it, the libs being him, right? And they're his fucking family. Like, he grew up with them. He was actually like close with these people at one time. These are people that helped raise him. And then they decided they hated him when he went off to college, that he was an elitist, that he was a traitor to the family because he decided to go try and build a better life. So I don't want to fucking hear it from y'all. You've been mean, you've been shitty for as long as I can remember, and you can't make excuses, okay? I know you guys. I grew up with you guys.
So I'm not sure what effect this is going to have, but MAGA's about to have their biggest fuck around and find out moment yet. Trump has decided that he's going to send the National Guard into 19 other states. Apparently they're going to be stationed there for about 3 months apiece, and it's to crack down on immigration and crime. But it's not just the National Guard this time. He's also talking about using active duty military forces, which is illegal because it's against the Posse Comitatus Act. Now, the funny thing is, this sounds terrifying, and in many ways it is, but this is going to negatively affect the MAGA voters in ways they've never been affected before. Because they didn't care when Trump sent the National Guard into California and Washington, D.C., because those are blue areas. That's all they care about, is owning the libs. As long as Democrats and minorities and people they don't like suffer, the Republicans enjoy it. But the states he's going to be sending them to are Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. And every single one of those, except for 2, are red states. Which means now the MAGA voters are going to have to sit there and watch the National Guard come and take over their towns and start policing them and bullying them around. They didn't care what fascist authoritarian shit Trump was doing as long as it was happening in a blue state. Now we're going to find out what happens when those bumpkins get the National Guard on their front fucking lawn. Especially since those National Guardsmen are going to be assisting ICE by collecting personal data, fingerprinting, DNA swabbing, and photographing people in custody. So over the next couple months, we're going to have to listen to a bunch of disingenuous Trump voters who are claiming, this isn't what they voted for. We can probably expect the first complaints to come from Latinos for Trump in about, 3 days.
It's true that Donald Trump and his regime lied to these poor white Republicans, the most diehard MAGA supporters, and everything that he had told them was just false, and no wonder they collapsed. Now, what is actually happening is all of the fake promises that he had, sold to them have collapsed, are basically not working. America First has become making poor Americans last, and lying to them that China was going to pay the tariffs. Then they have just realized that the tariffs are paid by Americans. I have done a video on this channel trying to explain how, it's Americans that pay the tariffs, but, I even had people come to the comment section to tell me that, I didn't know anything about tariffs. And you see, everything that Donald Trump just promised and what he has done has actually, in the long run, disadvantaged the very people that voted for this regime. The deportations have now directly come to affect them because, see, now Americans are actually struggling with food shortages and, food prices, basic groceries, are now becoming unaffordable, if at all you can even find them. And this is because, or as a result of, or the consequence of the deportation crisis. Because once all the laborers were either detained, deported, or have been forced to stay in their homes for the fear of being arrested unlawfully and detained or even deported to countries they don't come from, then they stayed at home. And now that simply meant in Florida, in California, in Texas, and all other states, there's no labor, there's nobody that's tending to the crops, and the food has, videos have been doing rounds on all social media platforms of food rotting in farms, of food going unharvested. And simply now, when that produce is not coming to the grocery stores, it ends up not coming to the tables as food, and the people that are going to starve or are going to be hungry are not exactly the immigrants, but also the Americans who were actually being serviced by these people. All of these jobs that these people were carrying out left, right, and center have now stopped. And most of these jobs were not actually jobs that Americans were willing to take. So Donald Trump lied to them when he said that these people are coming to take our jobs. These people actually take the breadcrumbs. They take jobs that Americans are not willing, to partake. They take the jobs that are paying low wages. And it is the same MAGA farmers that were actually exploiting this cheap labor to make money. And now they have just realized that they voted against themselves because now they have nobody to exploit. And they thought that the inner city people or the black people are going to go to the farms. But now they just realize that they don't care. And they're not even showing any interest. Black people don't care about your farms. They're not willing. And there's nobody. Suddenly they just realize nobody is there to be exploited like you are doing with the immigrants. They even call them criminals, people that were frequently or occasionally, as per it was supposed, were showing up in courtrooms, to partake in the proceedings of their documentations. And the ICE goons actually were doing raids just outside the courtrooms. If these people are criminals, why were they even showing up at the courtrooms? Again, now you realize that construction sites are actually also empty. We have seen a lot of construction sites, especially in Florida, that don't have people working on them. Why? Because the people that were actually working on those construction sites at affordable rates or even at oppressed wages were actually the immigrants that now this regime of Donald Trump is calling criminals. And now they have been deported, detained, or they fear coming out to work. And suddenly owners of construction companies are filing for bankruptcy, as well as just like the farmers were doing. Why? Because their companies can't work anymore. They might be work well, but there is nobody to offer the services. You own a company, you need people to work for you, but all the people you voted that they be deported. Who else did you expect that they're going to work for you, especially at those oppressive wages? So at the end of it all, they have realized the truth. And what the black people and Democrats and other people are actually telling them was simply true. And that Mr. Tariffs actually lied to them, that China was going to pay the tariffs. China simply either stops exporting to America, or if they export, and if the prices of the if you realize that your good has doubled in price, it's because you are the one who pays for the tariffs. They're not going to make a loss. I mean, if they export and Walmart or Target buys those products, they will still sell them at a price in which they make their profits. And if those goods are being taxed highly, see, that will also have a ripple effect. I mean, that will definitely cascade down to the final consumer. And that is why, you have realized that prices of basic commodities have simply just doubled, if not, simply just shot through the roof, instantly and ridiculously. Now, there are many white MAGA supporters that have come out to cry about being out of business, their farms losing labor, their food going to waste, their food not harvested, or even their food not being exported, because simply when you slap tariffs at everybody who's bringing goods to US, and US is also taking out all the products to the rest of the world, they will simply retaliate by slapping tariffs on your goods. And so it simply becomes, you hit a dead end. At the end of it all, it's, cause and effect. And now you are suffering the effect, the consequences of what you actually did in the very first place. So we wait to see, but a lot more is going to happen, because what we have actually noticed is that Donald Trump has also forgotten about the so-called the poor MAGA supporters. He doesn't care about them. All he cares about is making millions for himself and for his rich friends, and that's all that matters. No wonder he doesn't care when MAGA supporters are now losing their farms. He doesn't care when MAGA supporters are now, crying that they're filing for bankruptcy. In fact, if you lose your farms, he's going to be happy, because the rich are going to have tax exemptions, and they're going to have more money, and they're going to buy the same farms. You're going to sell your lands to the big corporates, because you just can't afford to do anything with the lands anymore. And no wonder he's pro tax exempt for the super rich, because those are his people. The ones he lied to, that he was going to make America fast, America great, that he was going to deport people taking their jobs, they're not his people. They're just white and poor. But for him, he believes in his rich people. So he used you as, sacrificial lambs to get to the office, so he could actually just end up, making more money out of you. Yeah. So many people are talking about this, and most Black people are just watching and laughing and saying, "We told you this. You should have expected this from way before. It is now time that you deal with the consequences of your choices." Yeah. And I don't know what you think about this. You could leave me a comment right below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for sticking along to this time. Hit the subscribe button to be part of us, and check out our other videos to know what we do in this particular channel. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.